Hey there, so today I want to briefly consider the HP Omen mechanical keyboard, which is a USB style wired gaming keyboard listed as model number 1100. Now the first thing I want you to consider with this is where the pricing point is currently at. When I first looked at this was a $49 keyboard. I consider that acceptable for an introductory style keyboard like this that has the fixed coloration that you can't actually set any type of backlighting options with. $49, again, 4.2 to a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Right now, however, this is setting at $99 on Amazon. At $99, I could buy, say a Razer keyboard where I can set up different things. I have extra buttons and what have you. That definitely falls to around a 3-star keyboard for that. So that's the first thing to consider. Now, I'm going to go over the features that HP decided to tout with this to talk about the pros and cons with it. The features that they talk about. Number one, they list blue mechanical switches. Now for blue mechanical switches, you're talking about your clicker variety. For gaming, for me, that's very important. I like the resistance. I want to be able to park my fingers, but at the same time, I don't want to mash a button on accident. So that works. This needs to be utilized in conjunction for me with a keyboard that has some kind of slant or that sets at an angle. I say that because there are a lot of flat keyboards that are going on the market now, and I cannot game with them. I've tried certain ones out. I'm not very good with it. They're uncomfortable. A lot of the flat ones also don't have the indentation that you see with your typical key, so it makes hitting the wrong buttons pretty easy. So that's something to consider. This has a basic design where you have a certain angle. It has a thin bottom here, slider variance at the top, and it gets bigger as it goes up. And then you have your 2 legs that pop up. So when you're considering how this sets, I think that's a good setup for gaming. Now, if you're thinking about using it in another function, like say work or what have you, or around a lot of other people, this noise might drive someone insane. So keep that in mind. If you don't like your coworkers, hey, go for it. But if you do, or you could get fired potentially for something like that, really keep that in mind. And this does have functions beyond gaming. When you think about responsiveness, there's the second feature here, the anti-ghosting with in-key rollover. That means I can hit a bunch of buttons at the same time and they all respond. Like say I need to run in this direction while shooting. I may have to push 2 buttons and then shoot with 1 to 2 other buttons. You need them all to respond. That is something that typically you see with mechanical keyboards. If they don't do that, then it's a garbage keyboard. But you can use that outside of gaming. Think about photo editing, for example. You want to drag something around, fill in, cut away. That's something that you need a lot of responsiveness with. But again, you may want to look at the types of switches. The third thing that this touts is red backlit keys. I'm going to turn the light off for a second. You can see that there's red backlighting here, and actually you'll notice that these pop up in white. That's because these keys are fixed with a certain color. You're not going to be able to change anything. That's why I call this introductory, because what you see is what you get. You're not going to be able to change a lot of stuff here. The fourth thing that they tout, for some reason all these companies talk about their braided sheathing for their USB cable. So let's all set an all real quick and look at that. Ooh, look at that. That's a little sarcastic, I realize, but I do not understand why all these people act like that's something that everyone else doesn't have. That's pretty much everything here. They also talk about a 1-year limited warranty. This is brought to you by HP, so that's somebody at least if you're talking about a bunch of other keyboards that are on the market, going with someone that versus a company that you never heard of, that matters. And again, especially when you're talking about that $50 range, there are a lot of companies cluttered right in that area. Now, when looking at this too, if I had a lot of other companies that I was considering, I'm going to move my light out of the way. You'll notice the Omen here. Now, I actually like the way that this looks aesthetically. It's that Omen actually reminds me of a horror movie or something like that. So I actually like that. That's not a good reason to buy, but if you're trying to make distinction between one keyboard and say 5 others, that's good enough. Anyway, I hope that helps. Hope I didn't ramble too much there. If you have any questions, hit me up there. Like, the whole drill. Thanks.